Listen to me carefully. Before God changes your life, he will disrupt your comfort. Before he sends the miracle, he sends the pressure. Before the breakthrough, there will be confusion, isolation, and stretching. If everything around you feels like it's shaking, don't panic. That's not destruction. That's divine preparation. Sometimes the first sign that God is about to change your life is not addition, it's subtraction. And that is the part nobody prepares you for. We celebrate when doors open, but we grieve when doors close. We shout when new people enter, but we question ourselves when old relationships fall apart. What you don't always realize is that separation is often heaven's strategy for elevation. When God is preparing to take you somewhere higher, everything attached to your current level cannot automatically go with you. Not because those people are evil, not because those places were mistakes, but because they were seasonal, and seasons change. It hurts when conversations that once flowed easily now feel forced. It's confusing when the people who used to clap for you suddenly grow distant. You start wondering, did I change? Did I do something wrong? But growth will always make you unfamiliar to those committed to the old version of you. And when you begin evolving, everyone who was assigned to the previous chapter cannot follow you into the next one. Separation feels like loss, but it is often protection. God sees what you cannot see. He knows who secretly doubts you. He knows who cannot handle your expansion. He knows which environments will suffocate your calling. So before the miracle arrives, he begins clearing the ground. Elevation requires alignment, and alignment sometimes requires distance. You cannot carry negativity into your next level. You cannot bring small thinking into a big destiny. You cannot walk into answered prayers while holding on to expired attachments. So God gently and sometimes abruptly removes what would contaminate what he's about to bless. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the separation is internal before it's external. You start losing taste for old habits. Old mindsets don't satisfy you anymore. Certain conversations drain you instead of entertain you. You feel different. You feel set apart. That's not loneliness, that's consecration. There is a loneliness that feels empty, and then there is a loneliness that feels sacred. Sacred loneliness is when God pulls you aside to prepare you privately before he promotes you publicly. It's where he builds your confidence without applause. It's where he strengthens your identity without validation. It's where he teaches you to depend on him instead of human approval. You think you're being isolated, but you're actually being insulated. If God kept everyone around you while he elevated you, the weight of their expectations, opinions, and limitations could crush what he's trying to grow in you. So he reduces the noise, he quiets the crowd, he narrows your circle, because elevation demands focus, and focus requires separation. The mistake we make is interpreting separation as failure. We assume that if something ended, it must mean we weren't enough. But what if it ended because you are becoming too much for that space? What if it closed because your destiny is larger than that room? What if the distancing is proof that you are shifting dimensions? Every level has a different language, a different mindset, a different responsibility, and you cannot speak the language of your next level while staying fluent in the limitations of your last one. So when people walk away, bless them. When doors close, trust him. When you feel alone, lean in, because elevation often begins in isolation. And one day when the miracle manifests, when the opportunity finally opens, when the breakthrough becomes visible, you will look back and realize something powerful. God didn't take them away to punish you. He moved them so they wouldn't block you. Separation was not abandonment. It was preparation. And what feels like loss today is actually God making room for something greater tomorrow. Pressure has a way of making you question everything. It makes you question your strength, your faith, your decisions, and sometimes even God. When the weight feels heavier than usual, when the attacks seem more frequent, when the obstacles appear back to back without pause, it's easy to assume something has gone wrong. But what if the pressure isn't a sign that you're failing? What if it's proof that you're being refined? Nothing valuable is formed without pressure. Gold is purified in fire. Diamonds are created under intense weight. Steel is strengthened through extreme heat. And in the same way, when God intends to use someone greatly, he allows them to endure processes that stretch, challenge, and transform them. Pressure exposes what's inside you. When life is easy, anyone can smile. When doors are open, and anyone can praise. But when you're squeezed by uncertainty, that's when your real foundation shows. Pressure reveals whether your faith is conditional or committed. It shows whether you trust God only when things make sense or even when they don't. And here's the powerful part. Pressure is not designed to crush you. It's designed to clarify you. Under pressure, you discover strengths you didn't know you had. You learn how to pray with authority instead of desperation. You begin to discern who is truly for you and who is only around for convenience. Pressure strips away superficial layers and forces you to confront your fears, insecurities, and doubts. It pushes you into growth you would have never chosen on your own. We often ask God for expansion, influence, impact, and breakthrough, but we don't always understand that capacity must increase before blessings do. If your character doesn't match your calling, your success can destroy you. So before God expands your platform, He strengthens your foundation. Before He gives you more responsibility, He builds resilience in you. Pressure builds endurance, and endurance prepares you for longevity. If everything came easily, you wouldn't value it. If every door opened instantly, you wouldn't develop patience. If every prayer was answered immediately, you wouldn't build spiritual discipline. The delay, the resistance, and the difficulty are shaping your internal strength so that when the miracle arrives, you can sustain it. Sometimes the pressure also intensifies because you are close to a breakthrough. Think about it. Resistance increases when something significant is about to shift. The moment before a breakthrough often feels like the breaking point. The tension rises. The battle becomes fierce. Doubt whispers louder, but that's because transformation is happening beneath the surface. Pressure also humbles you. It reminds you that your strength alone is not enough. It pushes you into deeper dependence on God. And dependence is not weakness, it is alignment. When you learn to rely on Him instead of your own understanding, you become spiritually grounded in a way success alone could never teach you. There's also a refinement that happens in hidden seasons, when no one sees your tears, when no one applauds your persistence, when you keep showing up even though you're tired. That unseen pressure is producing unseen growth. Your patience is increasing. Your wisdom is expanding. Your emotional maturity is deepening. And here's what you must remember. Pressure has a limit. It is measured. It is controlled. God knows exactly how much you can handle. He is not careless with your breaking point. He allows enough heat to purify you, but not enough to destroy you. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Begin asking, what is this producing in me? Because pressure is never wasted when it's in God's hands. It's shaping your mindset. It's strengthening your spirit. It's refining your character. And when the process is complete, you won't just have a testimony, you'll have the capacity to carry the miracle that's coming. There comes a moment in your life when what used to satisfy you no longer does. The places that once felt comfortable now feel confining. The conversations that once excited you now feel shallow. The dreams you once had suddenly feel too small. That feeling can be unsettling. You start wondering why you can't just be content, why you can't just settle, why you feel this constant pull for something more. But that holy restlessness is not a flaw in you. It's a sign of expansion. Growth rarely feels comfortable. When your capacity is increasing, your spirit begins to outgrow environments that once fit perfectly. It's like trying to wear clothes from a previous season. They may still be good, but they no longer fit the same way. And instead of shrinking yourself to stay comfortable, God stretches you to match where He's taking you. Holy restlessness is different from impatience. Impatience demands change out of frustration. Holy restlessness is a deep inner knowing that you were created for more. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's the quiet voice inside you saying, this isn't the end of your story. You might feel it when you walk into a room and realize you no longer connect with the energy there. You might feel it when you achieve something you once prayed for, yet it doesn't fully fulfill you anymore. You might feel it when you wake up with a vision you can't explain but can't ignore either. That stirring is expansion happening internally before it manifests externally. God often enlarges your vision before He enlarges your territory. He allows you to feel dissatisfied with average so you'll stop settling for it, because if you were completely comfortable, you would never move. Comfort can become a cage. Familiarity can become a limitation. So He plants a divine discomfort inside you that pushes you forward. And let's be honest, Restlessness can feel lonely. When you start thinking differently, speaking differently, dreaming differently, not everyone will understand you. Some will say you've changed. Some will say you're doing too much. Some will try to pull you back into who you used to be. But you cannot apologize for evolving. Expansion requires courage. It requires you to leave what's predictable for what's possible. It requires faith to step towards something you cannot fully see yet. And that's why holy restlessness is a sign of preparation. God is stretching your belief system so your next level won't intimidate you. Sometimes the restlessness shows up as a hunger for deeper spirituality. Surface level faith is no longer enough. You crave understanding. You crave intimacy with God. You crave purpose over popularity. That shift is not random. It's refinement. Your spirit is preparing to carry more weight, more influence, more responsibility. Other times it shows up in your ambition. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You begin imagining solutions instead of limitations. You feel ideas flowing that seem bigger than your current reality. That's not daydreaming. That's capacity expanding. But here's the key. Don't rush the process. Expansion takes time. Just because you feel ready doesn't mean everything around you is aligned yet. The restlessness is a signal, not a deadline. It's God saying, get ready, not force it. Learn to sit with the discomfort without letting it turn into frustration. Use it as fuel. Let it motivate you to prepare, to grow, to sharpen your skills, to strengthen your faith. Because when the door finally opens, you won't just want the opportunity, you'll be equipped for it. Holy restlessness is evidence that you are no longer called to small spaces. It's proof that your capacity is increasing. It's confirmation that you are expanding beyond limitations that once defined you. So if you feel unsettled, don't panic. If you feel stretched, don't shrink. If you feel the urge to rise higher, don't suppress it. That restlessness is not random. It's the sound of your next level calling your name. There is a kind of peace that makes no logical sense. It doesn't match your circumstances. It doesn't align with the chaos around you. It doesn't follow the facts in front of you. And yet it sits quietly in your spirit, steady and unshaken. That peace is not denial. It's divine confirmation. When everything around you feels unstable, you would expect panic. When doors close unexpectedly, you would expect fear. When plans fall apart, you would expect anxiety. But instead, there's this calm whisper inside that says, it's going to be okay. You don't know how, you don't know when, but you know that knowing is powerful. Peace in chaos is one of the clearest signs that God is orchestrating something behind the scenes, because human logic produces stress when outcomes are uncertain. Divine alignment produces peace even when details are missing. It's the difference between controlling the situation and trusting the one who controls it. You may not have clarity about the full picture, but you have clarity about who holds the picture. And that changes everything. Chaos is loud. It demands attention. It tries to pull your focus toward worst case scenarios. It magnifies problems and minimizes possibilities. But peace is quiet. It doesn't argue with the storm. It doesn't compete with the noise. It simply remains. And that quiet stability is strength. When you have peace in the middle of uncertainty, it means your foundation is no longer built on circumstances. It's built on faith. It means you've matured to a place where you don't need immediate evidence to remain confident. You've learned that delay does not equal denial. You've learned that confusion does not cancel calling. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It's the presence of trust. Sometimes the greatest growth happens when everything familiar starts shifting. Jobs change, relationships transition, plans rearrange. And while your mind tries to calculate every outcome, your spirit stays grounded. That grounding is not accidental. It's cultivated through seasons where you've seen God come through before. You remember the last time things didn't make sense and somehow they worked out. You remember the last time you felt overwhelmed and strength showed up. You remember the last time doors closed and better ones opened. That history builds confidence. So now, even in chaos, you don't collapse. Peace also protects you from impulsive decisions. When everything feels urgent, fear will tell you to react quickly, to fix it, to force it, to grab control. But peace allows you to pause. It allows you to wait without anxiety. It allows you to move with wisdom instead of emotion. That's powerful maturity. Because chaos can either push you into panic or position you for purpose. And peace Peace helps you choose purpose. There's also something deeply spiritual about unexplainable calm. It's like a quiet assurance that something is aligning beyond what you can see. While situations look messy, pieces are falling into place. While it feels like loss, it's actually redirection. While it looks like instability, it's restructuring. Peace becomes your confirmation that the shaking is not destruction, it's construction. And here's the truth: when God is about to do something significant, He often allows temporary disorder, not to harm you, but to rearrange what no longer fits your destiny. And instead of revealing the entire blueprint, He gives you peace as a placeholder for answers. You may not know the outcome, but you know you're covered. That calm confidence is strength. It's evidence that your trust has matured beyond feelings. It's proof that your faith is no longer fragile. And it's a sign that you are aligned with something greater than what you currently see. So if everything around you feels uncertain, but something inside you feels steady, don't ignore that. Lean into it. Protect it. Trust it, because peace in chaos isn't weakness. It's divine confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be, even if you don't fully understand why yet. There is a pattern that many people don't recognize until they look back at their lives. The battle intensifies right before the breakthrough. The pressure increases, the distractions multiply, doubt grows louder, opposition feels stronger than ever, and in that moment, it's easy to assume you're losing. But sometimes the hardest attacks are not a sign of defeat. They're evidence that something powerful is about to shift. Think about it. You don't face intense resistance over something small. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. The level of opposition often reveals the level of impact attached to your next season. If the attack feels unusual, it may be because the blessing is unusual too. Right before elevation, insecurity tries to creep in. Thoughts you haven't battled in years suddenly resurface. You begin questioning your worth, your calling, your capability. It feels strange because you thought you had already grown past certain struggles, but when you are on the edge of something greater, fear will try one last time to pull you backward. It's not random. Breakthrough requires movement, and the closer you get to stepping into new territory, the more resistance you may feel. It's like walking against strong wind. The closer you get to the summit, the stronger the gusts. But the wind isn't there to stop you. It's there because you're climbing higher. Attacks before breakthrough often come in subtle forms. Distractions that drain your focus, conflicts that steal your energy, opportunities that look good but lead you off course. The goal is not always destruction. Sometimes it's delay. If you can be discouraged long enough, you might quit right before the door opens. That's why discernment is critical in this season. Not every battle is meant to break you. Some are meant to test your commitment. Will you still believe when the evidence hasn't shown up yet? Will you still stand firm when support feels minimal? Will you still move forward when clarity hasn't fully arrived? Breakthrough is not just about external change, it's about internal transformation. The resistance strengthens muscles you didn't know you needed. It deepens your prayer life, it sharpens your focus, it forces you to rely on God in a way comfort never could. And here's what makes this stage so intense. You're too far to go back, but not yet fully where you're going. That in-between space can feel exhausting. You've outgrown your old level, but you haven't fully stepped into the new one. So attacks come from both sides. Old doubts trying to pull you back and new responsibilities trying to stretch you forward. But this tension is temporary. Every breakthrough in history was preceded by resistance. Every major shift required perseverance. The key is not interpreting the fight as failure. The key is recognizing the fight as confirmation. When everything feels like it's pushing against you, ask yourself, what if this pressure means I'm closer than I think? What if the intensity of the battle is proof that I'm stepping into something significant? The enemy fights hardest when heaven is closest. That doesn't mean the process won't be uncomfortable. It doesn't mean you won't feel tired. It doesn't mean you won't have moments of doubt, but it does mean that quitting now would mean walking away from something greater than what you've already seen. So stand firm, guard your mind, protect your peace, stay disciplined in your faith. The attacks are loud, but they are not permanent. The resistance is strong, but it is not final. Because when the breakthrough finally arrives, you will understand why the battle had to be so intense. It wasn't there to destroy you. It was there because you were stepping into something powerful enough to require a fight.